good morning and happy Monday, and welcome back to the Marvinizer Mastery Group. And hopefully, everybody had a great weekend and you're ready to. A good friend of mine said, win the morning and win the day. So that's a great way to start off with me. You win the morning and you can win the day. If you recall, we've been doing the series on the power of attitude because we all know that attitude is everything. But before we get to the last part of this series, remember we talked about Ask Marvin Anything? Well, I got a great email that really wasn't Ask Marvin Anything, but it had to do with this series on the power of attitude. And we talked about how you can maintain and sustain a positive attitude. And a young lady sent me some information that talked about I've learned to stay positive by not being the sponge, but being the duck. And she actually sent me a picture of a yellow duck on her desk. So I thought I'd pass that on to you because the whole mentality there is if you're the sponge, you're soaking up every negative thing that comes along and you're holding on to it. And we all know what happens to a sponge. After a while, a sponge can only hold so much water and it begins to leak. But boy, if you're the duck, no matter what happens to you during the course of the day, whether it's work or at home, it's going to roll off your back and you can just keep on paddling full speed ahead. So ask Marvin everything turned on to share something with Marvin. And I like that. So someone on the call here today, you may want to move toward being the duck and not the sponge. And we talked about not just for work, but also at home. So go out there and get those yellow ducks, put them on your desk, save it as a screensaver, put it in front of your where you sit at. But what a great reminder, not to let life beat you down, but go through life as the duck and not the sponge. So let's get to our topic. The last of a series, if you remember, the first thing we talked about was attitude is a choice. Was number one. You know, you have the ability to choose to be positive. Number two was manage the stress. Because if you don't manage the stress, it will manage you. And we talked about some of the different stress relievers that you can empower yourself with just to make sure you don't let things really stress you out and that emotion that is tied to it. Then we talked about focusing on the positive. Remember that quote I gave you there? Your outlook impacts the outcome. Or with salespeople, your outlook impacts your income. So that was number three. Number four, we talked about last week. Focus on the positive was outlook impacts your outcome. But number four was pull the weeds. I gave the example of the garden. You know, we don't want that those weeds or the yard where the dandelions are taking over. And I talked about you better get down there with that little fork tool and pull that thing out by the root. So what's bothering you? What needs to be pulled out by the root so you can get rid of it and it doesn't keep popping back up in your life anymore? And then first time fresh, keeping it first time fresh, you know, making sure that we're not letting things bother us, but we're the ones that are being in control. We all know when you got that new car the first time, and boy, I'll tell you what, nobody could smoke in it, you couldn't eat in it, you couldn't drink in it. Nobody wanted to, you hardly want anybody to come and sit on the passenger side. But are you still keeping those same rules now when somebody gets in your car? You want to keep things first time fresh. Don't let that whole thing of remember doing the same thing every day, getting the same result. But what change do you need to make in 2024 to keep things fresh, to keep things exciting, to keep things new? Because it's just no different than a carpet on the floor. If you walk the same way, the path back and forth to the kitchen or to the family room, over and over and over again, there's going to be a wear pattern. Well, let's make sure there's not a wear pattern in your life. What change do you need to make? And make that change as soon as possible because there's probably a wear pattern that you're creating right now that's creating some doldrums, that's creating some boredom, that's making things not as exciting as it used to be. Because I tell you, when things are exciting, it's going to affect your attitude because you're going to have a different, outlook on that situation. And today I'm going to talk about two more. Bend, don't break. Bend, don't break. That's number 6. Are there things that are going to knock the wind out of your sails? It's like getting punched in the stomach, you kind of bend over. That's okay. But the whole aspect of the bend, don't break, which is number 6, is not to let it what? Don't let it break you. There's going to be so many things in life that are going to come at you. And some are going to come at you fast, like I said in the first segment. You got to make sure you don't let these things break you. Maybe it's that duck that I talked about. Well, what's going to be that reminder for you to pull yourself back up and keep a positive outlook, even though things look bleak at that particular time? So the point is here, it's okay to bend, but don't break. It reminds you of Captain Sully. They just celebrated his anniversary of the pilot that landed the plane in the Hudson River. Remember that? Thank goodness he didn't break. I mean, he bent a little bit, I'm sure. He said to himself, oh my God, this is not good. But he remained positive and was able to land the plane, actually crash land the plane on the Hudson River, but saved everyone on the plane because he didn't break. He didn't go, what do I do now? I guess we're going to die. No, it was a bending situation, but he didn't make it a breaking situation where it broke him down so much he lost his ability to think. He lost his ability to stay positive. Don't put yourself in that situation, because when you break, you stop thinking. And when you stop thinking, that's when you start making decisions that are totally irrational. Bend, don't break. And then here's number 7. And I like this one to end this series with. Expect the best. What are you expecting to happen today? It's the self-fulfilling prophecy. Are you expecting a good day? Did you wake up this morning? Matter of fact, you went to bed last night thinking, I can't wait till tomorrow, because I know tomorrow is definitely going to be better than today. What are your expectations? Are you expecting good things to happen, or are you expecting bad things to happen? You've heard that old adage, you get what you expect. I'm even expecting good parking spaces. I'm expecting a good meal. I'm expecting a great day when I go fishing. I'm telling you, if you change your mindset to expect the best instead of expecting the worst out of life, you'll see a whole new world open up for you. It's no different than your children. Don't you expect the best out of your kids? You expect them to get A's. You expect them to be good. Change your outlook on your expectations. Because if you notice, all these 7 things kind of go hand in hand. Choosing to be positive, managing your stress, focusing on the positive, pulling those weeds, keeping it first time fresh, bending, don't break, expecting the best. I want somebody that's listening to this or looking at it later, or the nice thing about these tips I play, you can go back and replay them as many times as you want. But what's the one out of these 7 you feel you need to adopt to maintain and sustain a positive attitude? Like I said, maybe it's putting that duck on your desk. I guarantee you, I'm looking for someone to call me or send me another text or email saying, hey, Marvin, I got the duck, man. That's my reminder. Or I made the duck my screensaver. Or maybe you got the duck for somebody else because you know somebody that's all stressed out. So the whole idea of this first series is to make sure that whatever I talk about after this, you won't be hit by a negative attitude. You'll be able to embrace these things, because I'm telling you, what did I say? It's impossible to operate at your peak if your attitude is at its lowest. And remember, what's my 5 P's? Preparation and practice provides peak performance. Practice this. Incorporate this. Because like coaches will say, the way you practice is the way you play. And remember, don't practice until you get it right. Practice it until you won't get it wrong. Make it a great day today.